everyone, MCOC Al Bunny Rules here. Got a great video for you. Going to be giving 9 fighting and 5 preparation tips for new and novice players. So my 9 tips that will help you do a better job in those fights and areas to where you're struggling with and go through content. Number 1 tip is learn to parry well. First, you're going to have to unlock the parry mastery we will see here. As long as you have 1 point in, that could be very good. I have 3 points in mind, mainly because a lot of the champs I've been using lately tend to be a lot of parry heavy reliant, so the extra points are good there. However, parries are great. We're going to see some gameplay here on just some basic goal here. Seeing how easy it is to parry. You'll see the slowdown there on the timing. Just practice here. I'm going to talk about different areas where are good for practice, but the more you practice parry, the better you get. Some people who watch some of my videos have asked me, how do I always hit the parry exactly? It's not hard at all. It's just I've been doing it for many years now, so it would be pretty hard to miss. Of course, things do happen occasionally. Practice a lot. Parrying is way better than blocking because you're not going to take anywhere near the damage, as we see the health pools up on the top of those videos not going down at all or very little, as opposed to actual blocking, where you will take a lot more damage. Here on our tip number 2 is going to be our evading specials. So it's between baiting and evading is going to be important. And don't want to bring it up to S3 because, with one exception, you're going to take pretty much guaranteed damage. So you want to go ahead and bait those S1 and S2s. And if there's one that's easier to avoid than others, try to bait that. For me, Winter Soldier S1 is way easier to evade, so I try not to push him past S1, and you'll just see some basic tips here. And look at what I'm doing between kind of trying to keep the, you don't want to stay blocked, but you want some distance to move, and you want to kind of tempt them in order to get the AI to go ahead and do that special. Watch what I'm doing, and you'll see they go. Some areas is harder, like Arena. Trying to bait specials could be very difficult lately. However, pretty much most other forms of game content is rather simple, which is to basically create a little distance, tempt them to throw those specials. And we're seeing some here as well, with Emma going on in and evading that special. And you take a lot, you're not going to take damage when you evade the special. While depending, especially higher content, you can take a lot of block damage with these specials. Try with different champions, get a feel for it. Some are easier than others, of course, but it's a matter of practice. And like I said, the less you block, the less damage you're going to lose. So a matter of practice between, here's some examples of different champs and their specials. And between projectiles, the timing of them, it's all about repetition and repetition. And we're going to see some here with Sentinel and his S1, and there's different tricks on some of these champs on evading. Some of them you might need some distance. We'll see, like on the second part of this, I make sure I have plenty of distance. Other ones like Yellow Jacket need distance. Tip number 3 is practicing intercepts. And there's different types of intercepts. I'm not going to do a full breakdown of all the intercepts, but I am going to show multiple examples. And here we're going to see where I got Winter Soldier cornered, and I'm going to keep pushing him. I'm going to draft back and then intercept when he comes to me. And we see rather good concept. The big thing with this technique is you got to be careful that they have no power. I love this technique with Cyclops because I already have the power lock, so I can do this all day to him, and I have shown this exact fight technique on other videos. Here we will see, just doing a nice little intercept there as Cyclops is running on Proxima. You're going to see me use various champs. A good champ to use when you're practicing intercepting is fighting with Rhino, because he has that unstoppable ability while charging. Don't fight against him. He's a horrible champ to fight against while practicing intercepting, but an amazing one to learn to use. Here you can also have that special ready and hit him with specials for intercept. Tip 4 is maximizing combos. People get drilled in their heads, the medium, light, medium off the get-go. Some champs different. This one, medium, light, heavy, works great. Here we have Stealthy, he has his medium light 7 hit, and some champs like Luke Cage do better if they end with the light. He has a higher chance of exhaustion, so I end with the light. Tip 5 is using synergy teams. I'm going to show some examples of some popular synergy teams, but read the synergies. Don't think you have to bring your 5 best champions to every quest or your top 3 to every AQ or AW. Understand synergy teams will help you. For this one, I might not use my Proximal, although it's a great champ, but she helps Aegon and Corvus so much, she's worth the roster spot. So don't be afraid to take up a roster spot or 2 to make your primary champs better. In this example, Proxima can gain True Strike, which is a huge use on a lot of things. In this synergy too, it gives Aegon a freebie to get hit without losing his combo, which is huge. It also gives Proxima a lower mission at 75 instead of 100. So lots of positives with that. Benefits all 3. So if you find ones that benefit all 3, the better. But if not, so be it. Here's another very popular trinity in which it benefits everybody. It gives a 25% attack for all 3 when they're together. It makes Ant-Man with the synergy. I did a video. Ant-Man is actually a pretty strong hitter with the synergy. We see that 25% attack, and we will see these different abilities it gives them. It benefits all 3. So again, looking at that, some people might prefer to modify the synergy as well, and might put Hood in instead of Ant-Man. And this allows, I made mention an example of tanking S3s. This is the exception with this synergy. If you time it great, a Ghost won't take any S3 damage. Let's look at some other synergies that could be used in different areas. An extremely popular one I use a lot is that Fury with Quake. What that does is it gives you that ability for 3 misses. If you throw in that Deadpool X-Force, that allows you to restore, works really good, some health. And based on a poison or bleed, it works super good if you use suicides. That synergy is amazing for suicide mastery users. So you could take these 3 with a couple different champs and go a long way, especially with suicides. It's great. Another one I use a lot for synergies is going to be Heimdall. Absolutely amazing synergies. Also underrated champ, very great uses. But here, there's some, especially Act 6, this synergy can help you a lot. Certain fights, mainly looking at that Sinister fight, but others, this can give you permanent Fury buffs. You'll see me use this on my videos a lot. You can also mix it with, there's different options up there that can give you different things. Like I said, this Fury is a big thing. It helps a lot on some of the certain fights and endgame Act 6 content. Almost a must in certain fights. You can also get things like that increased critical rate, depending on who you use. Here's one of the original famous trinities right here. This trinity makes Blade absolutely amazing. On the danger sense against enemies, it gives Spider-Man, Starkey, a lot of extra abilities as well. Makes Ghost Rider a little bit too. You can also, what I like to do sometimes is mix out my Ghost Rider, my Stark enhanced, and throw in my Claire, because that gives me some extra synergies. I still get the danger sense with Blade, but now I can reduce opponents' buff durations by 30% with Claire, and it also gives, Claire has that 10% when fighting villains. So mix and match them. Tip 6 is scouting all nodes in advance. So look where you're going, go in, look which way you're going to go, scout all the different nodes, and then exit and adjust your team accordingly. So we're going to be talking about 3 primary different types of nodes. Sometimes people, I see all the time, people look at, why did this happen? Read the nodes. And they might read one nodes, but not all. So first look at global nodes. Everyone here is going to be affected by these global nodes here. And there's some fun ones, especially as you get to Act 5, Act 6, especially. Now we have our link nodes, and keep in mind these link nodes can change on the path, so you have to scout all the way up through the path. Look at those link nodes. Sometimes you can take them down, sometimes you can't in advance. So in this specific quest, that's where you see. Going on to Act 6, you can have even more issues with nodes. Act 6 is notorious for all kinds of weird nodes. Here we're going to see 3 types of nodes we have to be careful of. We have our local nodes. Look at each one. Sometimes these local nodes are going to be very catered to the champ on there and can make those fights hard. Go all the way down the lane and look at those. look at these local nodes. And as we see, some can make the fight very difficult if you do not bring the correct champs. Nothing worse than getting to the end of a lane and realizing you didn't bring a correct counter for a very complicated node. So, and this is the perfect example of this. People struggle with this fight a lot. One of the a complicated fight because people do not read all the nodes. You got to read the local nodes. You got to read those link nodes depending on what path you take, and the global. If you do not have the exact preparation for Crossbones, he's going to be much harder for you, not because Crossbones is a hard fight. It's because of these 3 sets of nodes. So always check, especially Act 6, but in most other content too, go through all the nodes along the way and make sure you don't run into any major issues there. And that can stand true for Act 4 or 5, of course, Students of Course Event Quests. Tip 7 is reading these champ abilities before the fight. Of course, know what the champ you're using can do, but look at what the other champs can do. Some people struggle. I see them complain all the time. How do you beat Thing? How do you beat Emma? How do you beat etc.? Fill in the blank. Why do they do this? Read the abilities. If you understand what their abilities are, it's easier to counter. Some people struggle with Emma. Let's look through her abilities. Let's look at the diamond. Let's look at what diamond does. I mean, we can't parry diamond. So if we know that, we know not to try to parry it. We can look at how to switch out diamond so we can parry, which will be an armor break. Easy person armor break is Corvus. Read these abilities. Once you understand what they do, it makes the fight so much easier. So we're going to show you a quick example of when we understand these abilities, I know a perfect counter. Because the tricky part on the defense when she's a defender is in diamond form because of her immunities. So I want to get her out of diamond, the quicker the better. And we're going to see this nice and easy right here. Boom. Did an armor break with Corvus. I know he does that. Therefore, I got her on the much easier to fight telepath mode. I still have to remember one of her abilities is in telepath is inverted control. So we will see inverted, then dash in. Otherwise, you're going to run right into the special. We understand that. Therefore, we fight her easily. So this is one champ some people may struggle with at times. We see how effortless it is when you read. Killmonger's another one. Some people may struggle with between his indestructibles, his reverberation. So we're going to look at these items. Keep in mind these fights are also on global nodes, so I do have to take those into consideration as well, link nodes. But we are going to look at his different abilities here. So in combination of looking at local, global, link nodes, look at their abilities because some of them sync very painful if not properly ready for. So now we're going to look over here in this fight and we see reverberation clicked in automatically right away. So don't want to do too much damage. They're going to kind of try to play passive for a bit between while the global buffs 10 seconds were off and while the reverberation is. And now I'm going to go ahead and go. If I just don't pay attention to that ability, then I'm going to get hurt. I'll hurt myself. STC, those 3 indestructibles. So I know got to get those indestructibles off. So not using any specials or big hits while I'm getting those specials off. Now this gets back to the earlier part of my video about baiting and evading those specials. You see that comes full circle. They all mix together right here. And again, being careful, and you see that bait and evade. We'll see parry. We'll see in the gameplay how these little tricks and tips I'm discussing are so helpful. But again, each one makes a difference. Tip number 8 is practice in arena. You get new champs. Anytime I get new champs, first place I go is arena. Because some of these, especially newer champs, take a while to learn and get a feel for. So I'll bring them to arena and play around here. Do different arenas, 2 for 1. I'm also getting those extra rewards from arena. So highly recommend get those new champs and new techniques. You're trying to practice intercept. You're trying to practice parry. This is the best place to practice because it's no risk, but higher rewards, and you also can be getting those battle chips for golden units while you're practicing your skills. Much safer and less stressful place to practice than, say, event quest or story mode. Then, of course, there are sometimes just certain champs that can be very hard for you in practicing. Practicing fully noted can be very hard, which is going to be leading to our final tip. As far as this, sometimes you run into them here, but it's going to be very unpredictable on arena. So if you really want to practice on specific champs on an easier way, that leads us to our 9th and final tip. Use duels to practice on difficult champs. sometimes what I like to do is I like to just go into the leaderboard, as we'll see here, find all kinds of different champs, very hard ones or good ones to practice on. And I do miss the days when I show the top champ as a profile pick, easier to find who you want. But if you search a little bit, you can find pretty much anybody. Dr. Doom is a great one to practice on. So that's one way to find good, strong champs. You want to practice on champs stronger than you. Very important. So that's a great place to find global. Sometimes looking global is to see whose pictures are popping up if I want practice on one of them, especially all these dual targets there. Another way to find who you want, surprisingly, a lot of people put in the names of their champs as their top champ as the name and search. So searching somebody, for example, searching stealth will help you find a stealth Spider-Man. If it comes up as a very low level to where it's going to be too easy of a fight, don't think you have to use your best champs on there. You're not going to gain nothing out of that. If, let's say, I want to practice on stealth and this is who I find, no biggie. I'm just going to bring in a 1 or a 2 star instead. That way I can actually go through the practice and get that repetition. So it's important to understand you want that to be a challenge, so you want to use your lower champs to get that practice in. And with that being said, practice, go through these 9 tips. They can help you a lot. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you like the videos. MCOC, Al Bundy rules. Thanks again, everybody.